18 months later, I took my second promo shot. I will let you be the judge. Obviously, I'm not getting those results without these performance enhancers.
Professional wrestling has always been a spectacle of monumental physiques, larger-than-life characters, and jaw-dropping athleticism. However, behind the bronzed, chiseled bodies that have graced the squared circle, many superstars have admitted to or been suspected of using gear to maintain their colossal size and endurance. Let's take a look at some well-known WWE legends and their relationship with the special sauce. Edge. Edge, a multi-time WWE champion, has maintained an aesthetic look throughout his career, with tight muscle definition that made him stand out even in an era of thick, larger wrestlers. Because of this, many fans assumed he was natural. During an interview, Edge surprised fans with his transparency regarding steroid use.
But yeah.
Have you ever juiced?
I have, yeah.
Why'd you stop? If you stopped.
I didn't like the way I got to the point where I didn't feel comfortable in the ring. To me, I wanted to be able to just go, and I would get winded too quick.
Edge has sadly endured several debilitating injuries which have forced him to slow down in his wrestling career. For recovery, he likely has used doctor-prescribed testosterone replacement therapy, TRT. If we are going by his recent transformation into a leaner and more aesthetic physique whilst pushing into his 50s, one might assume he is still on the juice. Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan was one of Vince McMahon's biggest stars in the WWF during the 1980s. In 1994, the U.S. Department of Justice indicted McMahon on charges of steroid distribution, leading to a trial. Hogan was called to testify and under oath admitted to using steroids. He explained that steroid use was common among WWF wrestlers in the 80s, but insisted he never used them for performance enhancement. Rather, he took them to cope with injuries. Despite Hogan's testimony, McMahon was acquitted of the charges on 3 separate occasions. Hogan later clarified that his steroid use was limited to addressing muscle injuries.
Another question, Hulk, why did you start using steroids? And assuming you have, why did you stop?
Well, I mean, at the time when I got in the professional wrestling business, not trying to point fingers, but everybody in all the sports industries were using them, baseball and football and hockey and wrestling. And at the time when I got in the business, the guys were huge, larger than life, and the steroids were illegal at the time. But around 1988 or 1990, people got re-educated. They realized that it wasn't something that was necessary, especially for sports entertainment and exhibition like wrestling is. So people have been re-educated, thank God.
Known for his legendary 24-inch pythons, Hogan's physical appearance began to change significantly around the time of the trial. His last matches took place in Impact Wrestling in 2011 and 2012, where, although still in good shape, he no longer had the same muscle-bound look he was famous for during his WWF heyday. The Hulkster is pushing into his 70s and just recently got married to Sky Daly, a woman 25 years younger than him. We can assume the testosterone is still pumping. Maven, the inaugural winner of WWE's Tough Enough, initially had a more natty bodybuilder look compared to his contemporaries. However, as time went on, he developed a more jacked frame, leading to speculation about whether he dabbled in PEDs. Recently, Maven has made a resurgence through his YouTube channel, where he shares behind-the-scenes insights about WWE. His insider knowledge provides a unique look into the Iron Paradise culture of pro wrestling. On his YouTube channel, Maven shared an interesting story about how wrestlers are persuaded into experimenting with the sauce.
I immediately found that I was not going to be able to keep up without it. I actually had one of the top officials come up to me, and he didn't outright say, hey, we're going to need you to get on this. What he told me was, have you thought about talking to some of the boys about that creatine that they're on? I asked around, said, am I hearing what I think I'm hearing?
After running a cycle of juice, Maven couldn't believe the incredible gains he made.
18 months later, I took my second promo shot. I will let you be the judge. Obviously, I'm not getting those results without these performance enhancers.
In an industry in which wrestlers tend to keep the juice use on the low, Maven is a breath of fresh air as he shows the reality of professional wrestling. Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle isn't just any professional wrestler, he's an Olympic gold medalist, who won the 1996 Games in freestyle wrestling with a broken freaking neck. His virile, high-intensity style in both amateur and professional wrestling made him one of the most impressive competitors of all time. However, the years of punishing his body in both disciplines took a severe toll, leading him to rely on medical interventions. On the Joe Rogan Experience, Angle openly admitted to being on TRT, a form of hormonal enhancement used to restore testosterone levels in aging athletes.
When you get older, you lose testosterone.
Yeah.
Now, I'm on a program right now, my wellness doctor, that I'm on the level of testosterone that I was when I was 30 years old. So he only gives me a certain amount. I take a half a cc of testosterone a week to keep my testosterone at the level that it should be. I'm not going above and beyond and trying to,
Trying to be a
abuse
bodybuilder.
it. Yeah.
Right.
While TRT is a legal and medically supervised option, many in the bodybuilding and wrestling communities view it as a gray area in performance enhancement. Given Angle's stupendous ability to maintain his dense, thick frame even after countless injuries, it has led to speculation on whether he experimented with more than just TRT in his prime. Regardless, Angle's majestic career in WWE and his relentless pursuit of greatness remain legendary. Jesse Ventura.
Bunch of slack-jawed around here. This stuff will make you a goddamn sexual tyrannosaurus.
Before he was making waves in the political world as the governor of Minnesota, Jesse the Body Ventura was a professional wrestling icon known for his freaky, over-the-top physique, wrestling in the late 70s and early 80s, a time when gear use was practically the norm. Ventura sported a rotund, thick look that screamed, juiced-up powerhouse. His bronzed, tanned skin and massive frame made him look like a Greek statue, and his larger-than-life persona only added to the mystique. Ventura has never been shy about calling out the wrestling industry for its rampant use of the juice, frequently criticizing the unregulated nature of performance enhancement during his era. Given his outspoken nature and experience in the Iron Paradise, he provides a rare insider perspective on how cell tech was viewed as an unspoken requirement in professional wrestling at the time.
Well, we never knew the long-term effects of them, but there sure has been a generation of guys that are dead. Right. The generation right after me. I never took much. I used to only I'd take one cycle of testosterone a year, and that's in your body already. You're just giving yourself an overabundance, and then at the end you give yourself a shot of gonadotropin, because your body's a natural check and balance, and if you're getting an outside source of testosterone, your body will start to cease to produce its own. So you need the gonadotropin to kick your body back in when you go off again. And I only did 1 cc every week. That ain't nothing. That's why today I'm still healthy. Right. Because I never abused. I never took orals.
While he moved on from the squared circle to politics, his colossal presence is still felt whenever discussions of old-school wrestling physiques arise. Here's an interesting side story from Jesse Ventura about a competition he had with the great Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Biggest thrill for me was when we hit wardrobe, and I happened to view Arnold's wardrobe tape, and when my arms taped out 1 inch bigger than Mr. Olympia's, that made Jesse Ventura feel pretty good.
Well, I'm very happy about that, because then my joke worked. Because I told the wardrobe department they should tell him that, so I can bet him a bottle of champagne afterwards when he comes to the gym. He came to the gym 2 days later and he says, "You know something, Arnold? We should measure our arms. Who has bigger arms?" I said, "Of course we should." I said, "Let's bet a bottle of champagne." He says, "Of course we should." And then we measured it and my arm was 3 inches bigger than his.
What the fuck?
And he lost a bottle of champagne. So, I mean, you know, the psych-out trips, they work on everybody, and bodybuilders and those.
Goldberg. If there was ever a wrestler built like a human tank, it was Bill Goldberg. His explosive style and monumental physique set him apart from nearly everyone else in the business. From his massive traps to his dense, wide shoulders, Goldberg always looked like he belonged on a bodybuilding stage as much as inside the ring. Throughout his career, fans and analysts have speculated on whether Goldberg ever dabbled in roids. His rapid transformation from an NFL defensive lineman to a colossus in WCW raised questions, as did his ability to maintain such a freaky level of muscularity well into his 50s. Unlike many wrestlers from his era, Goldberg never had a significant size fluctuation, leading many to wonder if he had outside assistance in keeping his tight, stupendous look over the decades. Though Goldberg has never openly admitted to using gear, he did hint at its use in various interviews. For example, Goldberg appeared on Joe McDonnell's radio show in Los Angeles back in 2007, and allegedly, when asked about steroids and if he ever used them, Goldberg replied, "I'm gonna have to take the fifth on that, which will probably answer your question." In a more recent podcast, Goldberg was asked candidly about his gear use in a rather bizarre question. Watch and notice how Goldberg did not deny his use.
Ask me anything you want. I don't care.
I can ask you anything?
Anything.
So I've been told this, but
By
I'm gonna
him?
ask you. Yeah.
No, sir.
If it was by him, I know it has ill intent.
So is it true
No.
that steroids make your pee-pee small?
How would I know? I have no idea.
Good answer.
That will have to be continued because I'll have to look that up in a dictionary or a thesaurus or yeah, I don't know. Encyclopedia. Do they have those anymore?
Webster. Probably not.
Webster.
Yeah. I don't know.
But Goldberg is not to blame, as admitting to gear use could prove fatal to his future in the WWE. The Ultimate Warrior wasn't just a wrestler, he was a walking explosion of jacked intensity, unmatched energy, and an aesthetic, perfectly proportioned physique that looked almost cartoonish in its muscularity. His thick, bronzed arms and majestic upper body defined the look of late 80s and early 90s professional wrestling. In his 2014 autobiography, Warrior openly admitted to using gear during his career, stating, "I used steroids, yes I did. I used them for a time in my career like many other wrestlers, but I want to make it very clear that I didn't use them to get ahead or to cheat. I used them to survive. I was a bodybuilder, and that's what the industry demanded from us back then." He emphasized that in his era, having a freaky, colossal look wasn't just a bonus, it was a necessity. According to him, if you weren't pushing your gains to the limit, you weren't going to make it in professional wrestling. Despite his acknowledgement of gear use, Warrior later advocated against it, claiming that the risks far outweighed the rewards. However, his monumental, high-energy performances and enormous presence cemented him as one of the most visually striking wrestlers of all time. On April 8, 2014, just days after being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, the Ultimate Warrior suddenly collapsed while walking with his wife outside an Arizona hotel. He was rushed to the hospital but was pronounced dead shortly after. The cause, a massive heart attack due to atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease. While there's no way to say definitively that his past gear use caused his death, many experts believe that years of steroid abuse may have played a significant role. The heart, just like any other muscle, can grow unnaturally large when exposed to PEDs, making it more prone to failure. While WWE has cracked down on performance-enhancing drug use in recent years with its wellness policy, the reality is that many of the most impressive physiques in wrestling history were achieved with the aid of anabolic steroids. Whether openly admitted or long speculated, numerous wrestlers from past generations built their larger-than-life appearances through chemical enhancement. Even as the industry shifts toward a more natural approach, the legacy of these wrestlers remains significant. Their impact continues to shape the aesthetic standards of professional wrestling, influencing both aspiring performers and dedicated fans who admire the physical and athletic achievements of the sport's biggest names.